Flex Lewis here, Straight Outta The Lair. All right, guys, episode 4, Straight Outta The Lair. It gives me great honor today to have a very special guest, one of the best coaches in MMA, arguably the best, here at the podcast, on the sofas, Eric Nicksick, my friend. I really appreciate you guys being here today.
Man, what an honor. I'm so pumped to be here, brother.
Yeah, we obviously, we've had you over the gym.
Yep.
We've had many of your athletes over the gym also. Everybody speaks so highly of you. And again, what was it, about 2 weeks ago we had you in the office, and you and I was just chit-chatting away, and we got into some really interesting, deep conversation very fast.
Yeah.
And I was like, stop. This is a podcast. And here we are.
See, I mean, you made a good transition now. You know, you retired, and now you're looking at other things and new avenues. And you know, we said, hey, we gotta drop this on the mic.
Exactly. Well, I don't know how many viewers are watching this. I'm sure we've got subtitles from all over the world. But yeah, it's been a great. I think this is something we're all enjoying. It's obviously new to us all, but yet again, we're having amazing guests on, yourself included. And what we like to do on this podcast is, again, take it from the beginning.
Sure.
Kind of get to know who you are and what makes you tick or makes you great and brings the best of not only yourself, but the people around you out. So let's take us back to the beginning, your childhood. Las Vegas, born and raised?
Yeah, born and raised, Las Vegas. And so was my mom. So, you know, we've been here a long, long time. My grandfather was in the Navy, Pearl Harbor vet. Moved back out here. He was Benny Binion's bodyguard.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. You know, and my dad was from Italy. He was kind of in the, I wouldn't say kind of, he brought some of the drug game out here to Vegas at a young age. Yeah. So he was murdered when I was 2.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so kind of a crazy backstory. You know, I had the cowboy side from my mom's side, and then we had the Italian Guinea side. So I'm literally 50% Italian. My dad was from Naples, Italy. So my uncle, he passed away a few years ago, but he owned Ital Cream, and he was in the restaurant side business. And then, you know, my mom was in construction and growing up out here. So, man, I've got to see this city grow into what it is today. And really, I think cut my teeth in a city that, like, you know, at 16, 17 years old, man, we saw a lot. We saw a lot at a very, very young age. So I'm very proud to call myself a Las Vegas native.
So you said that obviously born and raised here. Did the Las Vegas town kind of speed up your childhood? Did it mature you fast?
Very much so. I had a fake ID when I was 16, you know, and a lot of people might have had that, you know, where they're from or their town. But you got to think, like, Vegas is just this different animal, you know. Like, we were going to school.
Yeah.
Right? I would be out the night before. We go to, like, ladies' night at the drink or the beach or something, and then I would go to school the next day in high school. You know, and my dad was my teacher, one of my football coaches and teacher. I had an uncle that was a dean. I had an uncle that was our linebackers coach in high school. So I had my dad for first period aide. So I had a little bit of a buffer there, and then I had my uncle for second period weight training. You know, so if I showed up a little later, I was a little dragging ass. But you know, when it came to the weight training side, you know, Uncle Dave wouldn't let you slack in there. But yeah, we got away with a lot.
Did they know that you were out the night before?
Yeah, most of the time they knew. But you know, like, it's funny, like, it was like this with my dad. It was like he was secretly kind of proud of some of this shit. You know,
you were giving him the stories.
Yeah. So you know, obviously I said my real father was killed when I was 2, but my dad that raised me, you know, I don't think anything less of him. He's like anything less than my dad. He's my father. So you know, he took over the reins, and he was this phenomenal football coach. And growing up, that's how I remember a lot of my childhood, was literally on the football field with him. You know?
So where did MMA come from? Were you doing football and MMA, or did this come from after football?
A little bit of both. There was some dabbling in the MMA in like high school, and remember, like, UFC came out, it was all like VHS tapes, and we would get the VHS tape and we would go in the room. Exactly. And then it was like, all right, bro, let me try this shit on you. And all my friends were like, and it was, you know, all my friends hated it.
Yeah.
But I was like the super aggressive kid, and especially when it came to football, it came to fighting, it came to this, it came to that. Like, you know, I loved my friends were my friends. I would die for them, but I loved beating the shit out of them too. It was just part of my like being a big old puppy, I guess, you know. And So there was really no gyms here. There was no MMA gyms at the time. This is 94, 95, 96, 97, right? And then I remember that there was like a small little school that opened up that was more like a karate school, but the guy was like a purple belt under John Jock Machado in jiu-jitsu.
Oh, okay.
I was like, okay, cool. Like, I really like this jiu-jitsu stuff, you know? And then John Lewis had opened his gym, JSEC, and that was like all the legends back then. I mean, they were the guys. Yeah. Looking back, I didn't know who anybody was. It was like BJ Penn and Randy Couture and, you know, whatever.
Chuck Liddell too, right?
Chuck Liddell. Yeah. I mean, so John Lewis was the kind of like really the man to bring MMA to Vegas that I can remember, right? And then, you know, my mom would take me over there. I got to train as a little, 17-year-old kid, but I was still playing football. So there was always this like love for the sport, but football always took its precedence. And then when I was on scholarship, you had that, like, you weren't allowed to snowboard, you weren't allowed to do this, you weren't allowed to do that. It was strictly football, and you couldn't occur any injuries. So once football was over, honestly, for me, Flex, it was, I missed the camaraderie. I missed the team. I missed, like, just being around like-minded individuals, man. And that's kind of what led me into MMA, was the moment I stepped foot in Extreme Couture, and it was Randy, Mike Pyle, Jay Heron, and this cast of characters. And I'm like, man, like, this is where I belong. I want to be here. I didn't know what I wanted to do. I just knew I wanted to be surrounded by people with that sort of mentality and that mindset.
How old were you then?
I probably was 24, 25.
Okay.
Yeah.
When you got real serious about it?
I wouldn't even say I was really serious about it, but for me, it was about consistency. It wasn't like, oh, I want to be a fighter, I want to be a coach, I want to be this, I want to be that. I was like, I'm in. Whatever you guys are doing today, I'll be back tomorrow, and I'm getting the living shit kicked out of me, but I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
But I like being around these guys, because everything else around me was like, you know, I was in the bar industry, and you get off of work, and everybody wanted to go do what? Drink, gamble, smoke, hang out, be out late. And I'm like, well, I can't. I got to get up in the morning, and I got to get the shit kicked out of me by Mike Pyle.
Yeah, I got to train.
I got to go train. I got to do this, you know. And then I just became addicted to being around, moreover, the community more than it was the craft at the time.
Well, because I want to bring that up, because our daughter is 6, and I didn't know at the time, until like Flex told me, that these classes, it's more than just the skill, right, and the camaraderie. It's the discipline. Right. And maybe at the time you didn't know you wanted or needed that discipline, you know, or the respect factor. And that was one thing that Flex brought up to me, that he wanted to put our daughter into it. And that was a question I was going to have for you, is I know you have 3 kids, you know, and you have a son, and you have 2 girls. So it doesn't, you know, it's not a gender thing, but are any of them, I think I saw one is in cheer, your daughter, and I don't know if your son, I know he does flag football and stuff. So is he into it? Is that something that you kind of, you know, not forced on him, but like introduced to him to see if he liked it, and does he, you know?
He loves it.
Yeah.
And it's very natural for him. And it was kind of like, for me, it was very nostalgic, was I see him the same way I saw myself on the football field with my dad.
Right.
So it's such a cool feeling to be able to bring your kids to work and let them understand and know what you do for a living.
Right.
And then, furthermore, I want him to be around the mindset of Francis Ngannou and the mindset of Dan Ige and these guys and their work ethic and how hard they're involved in what they love and their passion. And I want the environment to ooze onto him. By no means do I preach it or I tell him. Sometimes I'll point little things out, right?
Yeah.
But if you're like, okay, he's gonna learn through osmosis. I'll watch him go in the gym alley. He'll go and grab the ground and pound bag on his own, pull it over to the side while we're doing our workout. Yeah. I'll look over in the corner of my eye. He's over there ground and pounding elbows, doing all of his own little work in his own little head and kind of doing what he wants to do. And in my mind, I'm like, that's all I want. I just want him to be around this environment, because I know what this environment's going to breed for him, being around these people, because it's done the same thing for me.
Right.
Does he ever look up and look for daddy's approval when he's doing any of that?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. And this was the first time like I coached him, was in flag football. Okay. And like, I was very happy with his responses when I had to like correct him or coach him. Yeah. You know, and of course, like playing for my dad, man, it was rough. It was rough because, you know, I was on varsity as a 14-year-old kid, and my dad was also the coach. So my dad always made it a point to be the roughest on me or the meanest to me, so that none of the kids felt like I was being favored.
Yeah.
All the kids on the team were like, dude, your dad's a dick. Like, how do you survive? How do you go home? And then like I remember having this moment. I made a really good play at practice. It was like a pick 6, but I left my position. To go make this play. And my dad's point was like, that wasn't your play to make. But I made this play, and I was in my head like, well, I scored. I picked, whatever. And he goes off on me at practice. Off on me. And I remember getting in the car because I was so mad that he like just belittled me in front of the whole team. And I just started crying. I was like, what is it? Like, what is it with me and you? Like, why do you have to be like that to me? And he's like, hey, if I'm not the hardest person on you on the team, then everybody's going to think that I'm playing favorites. That's why I got to be hard on you. He's like, I think you made the great play. I think you did great here. But think about this. If that was in a game and you left your position to make this play, 2 plays later, they're going to make that play to make the adjustment, and because you left your spot and left your responsibility, and they're going to score a touchdown on that. So it's a coachable moment. And I was like, fuck. So when I talk to my son the same way, like I want him to know, like, hey, I'm going to be like hard on you, but his responses are always like, okay, Dad. Yes, Dad. You got it, Dad. He's 5, you know? Like, all right. This is great.
It's cool what you just said, though, showing him the mindset of how Ngannou or Ige or somebody trains, right? Because the younger generation now, nothing against them.
Right.
There's a issue with entitlement. They see instant fame. They don't see the work that it takes, right? So it's kind of cool that you're introducing that to him at a young age and showing him that, like, you see this guy on television and with the fame and everything else.
Right.
Look what it took to get there.
And I think that is like, if you had a kid and you just put him in a library and you allowed him to have this knowledge, you don't really have to do a whole lot with it other than just bring him.
Right.
Just put him in that environment, And we, as fans, we get to see the outcome or the fight on TV. But you and I both know, and you know, there's so much that leads up to that.
So many layers.
So many layers of that. We see the product, the end product.
Right.
What goes on in between that is really privy to such a tight-knit community, the people within the gym, the family, the this, the that. And for him at that age, and my daughters, to be able to see what goes on day to day, I think is just absolute gold for them.
It's also pre and post, right? Like,
correct.
After the fact, people don't really talk about what it is after a fight.
Yeah.
Right? Everything hurts. You've torn this is broken, whatever. It rarely gets talked about.
You're absolutely right.
Catastrophic.
It's kind of part of it, and nobody wants to.
Yeah.
It's a great point, because now, like, you think there's so many fights that it's like, on to the next one.
Yep.
Right?
Yeah. Meanwhile, you got broken hands.
Yeah. Now Singapore's up. What happened to last week?
Right. Shifted, exactly. If talking about shifting back a little bit, Extreme Couture, obviously one of the biggest gyms in the entire world. Obviously, I'm a massive fight fan, as you know. This is a gym that I've been waiting to step foot into for a very long time. You've come to my gym before I even had a chance to come over to yours, and I really appreciate the love you show me. Stepping in there for the first time. Take me back to that and training with Randy. And was he fighting for a fight at that point in time when you stepped back into the gym for the first time, sorry?
Yeah, so he was getting ready for Tim Sylvia.
Oh.
This was December of 2006. A good friend of mine heard that he was opening a gym, kind of went by there. They were not open yet.
Okay.
And they were just like, literally a cage and like some mats. I mean, it was and literally greeted by Mike Pyle at the door. Like, what do you want?
What do you want?
And I'm like, well, are you guys open? He's like, we're not open yet. We're not open for however long or whatever. But this is like in an era where Mike just, anybody knew was like, oh, let me kick the shit out of this guy. Like, how much do you weigh? They're like 225. Like, cool, come in, man. Let me beat your ass.
Come in, punch bag.
Yeah, so I never really got to train with Randy probably until like, I think it was like maybe Mark Coleman camp or Brandon Vera.
Okay.
But they were very welcoming in the regard of like, hey, you're a big, durable dude. There's no other bodies in here. We don't have any members like yet. And so I'm literally member number 1 in our database.
Damn.
Oh,
So when
wow.
the gym opened, I believe we officially opened like in January or February of 2007. Member number 1.
I remember that fight clearly. Big fan of Randy Couture.
Yep. Cut kick to the overhand.
Overhand right. Dropped him first round.
Yeah.
But it obviously went the full. But it was, I think I was in Ohio during the time. Columbus, Ohio.
Yeah, it was Columbus,
On the
Ohio.
Classic, March.
Yep, you're absolutely right.
Yeah.
Absolutely right.
I remember that.
Now
that you say it was in Columbus.
Yeah, I was supposed to have gone, or somebody had tickets for me, but I couldn't make it because I had to attend the Arnold Classic. Yeah. I had to attend what I was there for doing, but I remember that clearly, and I think Randy came to one of the booths the next day. Didn't look like he was in a fight.
Yeah.
That fight that I remember clearly, and I thought, my gosh, because Randy was
43.
He hadn't fought for a year, correct?
Yeah, it was a while. He hadn't fought for a while.
And there was no kind of fight hype to the extent that is now YouTube and stuff like that, and all the follow-ups, like Embedded and stuff. So obviously I was seeing things periodically, and I just remember seeing him doing the, squaring up in the octagon. I was like, this guy is a stud. There was a massive height difference.
Oh, yeah.
And he was like, fuck. Obviously, the fight kicked off, and then he threw that leg kick and that overhand right and dropped him. And you could see the whole crowd.
Oh, shit.
Everybody was talking about it the next day, of course. So it's always in my head. So going back to the gym, from there, where did the coaching start for you?
So I had about a year of just straight training with the boys, Dennis Davis and a couple of the guys, and an opportunity came up where it was like, hey, this coach can't coach this day. Can you fill in or whatever? And that was probably, in my opinion, like maybe top 3 reasons why I'm involved in this sport, was that opportunity became available for me. And it looking back, I had no business coaching at that time. No business coaching. But what it did make me do was really focus and hone in on my craft and study and go out of my comfort zone and try to work to become even a remotely decent coach at that time. But what I realized was, Flex, was like I brought an enthusiasm and an energy to that class that the class began to grow and grow and grow. So my Friday class at 11 a.m., whatever it was like 30 deep. And it was like people, like guys that like would kill me, like they would tap me out, but I would run this class and run this program where I wasn't maybe showing like the best technique in the world, but we were grimy and going after it in this hard environment and like drills and situationals. And then more and more guys started to show up. And then it was like, hey, you're doing great with this Friday class. Can we give you Wednesday? Like, I'll take Wednesday. So then I was going to pro practice Monday nights because that was the grappling day of pro, learning from Vinny, learning from like, Drysdale at the time. Jacare was in the gym, like some of the best ground guys in the game. And then like go and try to take some of that stuff and apply it over to the classes. And it was a lot of regular members, but then it was like some of the young up and coming fighters that would come to the gym because, some of those guys don't have the luxury of not working. So some of them would work, they'd come to class, couldn't make pro practice. So this started like really, it's like for me, kind of get my foot in the door. Then these young kids would be like, hey, coach, can you come and corner me? Can you be at my amateur fight? So a lot of the guys that I came up with learning how to coach were my amateurs at the time that now are freaking pro fighters, So, and then it wasn't long after that, an opportunity became available to take over the kids program. And I was like, I don't know, man. I got, at the time, 2 girls at home. I don't know if I want to coach kids. And I did it for a week, and I fell in love.
Wow.
Fell in love. Like, I knew right away, like, okay, I can help some of these kids. And being a girl dad, I had a lot of girls like that started in the gym. And for some reason why, like, I can see with them, some of them, the confidence issues, some of them with their body type and things of that sort. So I took some things from football over to the kids program. We had this thing that I grew up with, what was called the 6 C's, and one of those C's was confidence. And I would always make the kids go over the 6 C's and say which ones means the most to you. And this little girl would always say, hey, Courtney, what's your C and what does it mean to you? And she would always say confidence. And I never made her really elaborate. And then one day, she was a little heavy-set little girl, and got picked on a lot, but she would get after everybody in class. Didn't matter who. And I was like, Courtney, what's your C and what does it mean to you? She goes, Coach, mine's confidence because you've given me confidence to be the girl that I am today. And that I know that I can face my fears. And I'm just fucking, all right, Courtney. And then it resonated with me because I didn't want to do this. I didn't want to coach this. But in my head, I'm like, man, I think if I changed one little girl for the better or one kid or whatever for the better, that this job that I have now has been worth it in the long run, You
truly have started from foundation.
Yeah.
And built yourself up and really got the respect from everybody, from the kids' classes, as you said, all the way to now, through the amateurs to the top guys. And, you know, Extreme Couture brings in the best of the best athletes from all over the world, and they seek out you.
Yeah.
Isn't that a little, you know, do you pinch yourself sometimes, or do you have a moment to even reflect and think, wow?
I do, but I feel like the mentality for me of never feeling like I've arrived has kept me wanting to work harder.
Even though you've won Coach of the Year?
Yeah. I don't know, man. Like, I always feel like there's more work to be done, that we can always better our best. And I don't want to sound like some fucking cliche thing, but like, I think because of where I've came from, I just know that mentality has worked for me. And I just want to always find ways to evolve and become better, whether it's in the cage, whether it's being a dad or a parent or a husband. But moreover, like, you know, we talked about Dan Ige.
Yeah.
You know, our rise to where we're at now is very, very similar. We're on those parallels. But where I take a lot of pride is who I see him as the dad and as the husband. You know, because this fight game's only 1/3 of our lives, right?
Yeah.
For him, for these fighters especially. But where he's going to be as a man, I think resonates a lot to me more than anything. So, you know, like, man, that's my day to day. Like, I love to be able to go to work and not have to call it work, man.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, it's the best thing in the world.
So what would be, because you said you haven't arrived yet, do you have certain goals for yourself within the fight game, and then obviously outside, but, you know, within the sport? Is there something that you want to achieve?
There's no title or no award for me that I want to win.
Right.
What I really care about is, like, last year was a big year for me in the regards of there was 2 individuals at our gym that I helped navigate to realize their full potential.
Right.
It was Taylor Gordato and Chris Curtis. Taylor works my front desk at the gym. She's been involved in Extreme Couture since I can remember. Her first fight was an amateur, was against Ronda Rousey. She's had injuries left and right. She has a son. You know, every little thing that you can think about that has kind of moved her path.
Right.
And one day she's working my front desk and she says, "Hey, coach, there's an opportunity maybe for me to fight in the PFL. It's 2 weight classes above where I naturally fight. This. Do you really think that I can do this?" And I go, "Fuck yeah, you can."
Yeah.
I want to see, like, we're going to do this together. Like, I was in, like, I wanted her to do this because we all know what she's capable of.
Right.
Well, you really think I can? Yeah, I do. And sure as shit, we made it all the way to the finals and fought for $1 million.
Damn.
She didn't beat Kayla Harrison. But
Right.
what she did was she provided all this money that she didn't think was possible for her family. I think she ended up making like $200,000 over the year.
Good for her.
Yeah.
Right? But the confidence that she was able to see what she's capable of.
Yeah.
That sometimes we don't see it within ourselves, but there's somebody next to us that does.
Right.
And we see that potential in her. So being able to help her change her family's life was huge for me.
Yeah.
Same with Chris Curtis. Chris Curtis was pretty much out of the sport. Like, he wanted to quit. He was done. We had a teammate who passed away under anesthesia, and that really wrecked the whole team, rocked the whole team.
Right.
And he came to me one day. I'm sitting on the edge of the cage, we're waiting for practice. There's no one in the gym. And he walks in, and, you know, Chris kind of has this Eeyore to him, like, walk, and he's, you know, and he's like, "Hey, man, like, I think this is it for me. I think I'm going to hang it up." And it was September, and I knew he had a fight lined up already. And I go, "Hey, bro, let's see the rest of this year out." Right?
Okay.
In my mind, I'm like, let me just keep him in the game a little longer. So I used a timeline. So I go, the year's almost up. The finish line's right in front of us. Can you give me to the rest of the year?
Right.
And I go, I feel like good things are going to happen, bro.
Yeah.
Just trust me. Oh, I don't know. No. I go, just fucking give me the rest of the year.
Yeah.
Okay. He gets a short notice call. He goes to fight Phil Hawes. He knocks him out at Madison Square Garden. Takes another short notice fight. Fights Brendan Allen. Again, 2-1 underdog. Knocks out Brendan Allen.
Damn.
Makes his bonus, 50 G's. You know, his life is completely changed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when you ask, like, my goals are to help navigate and shepherd these young up-and-coming fighters to realize their full potential the way that I see them in the bigger light, the bigger vision that we all know that they have.
Yeah. And that's what, just to add, is that That's such a coach mentality, and that's such an athlete, right? Because you've done both, and it doesn't matter if you're the athlete of the sport or not. It's just, I see that. I think that's amazing, first of all, and kudos to you to want to help others. And I think that there's that parallel too within your sport and how important coaches are. You know, and the athlete, yes, has to go and perform, but they couldn't do that on their own.
Yeah.
And I know a lot of athletes know that, but I think it's important. The coach is such a pivotal part of their success. Like you said, to be the good parent, to be the good athlete, to be the good friend, you know, teammate. There's so much camaraderie in kind of an individual sport, right?
Very much so.
And you said about the gym and the culture and all of that really kind of forms the winning aspect, you know? And so I think it's just awesome to have such a great advocate, and you are such a great advocate for the sport as a coach, because it's hard to find good coaches, and when you do, you know, I think,
hold on.
Yeah, you know, Flex knows that, and we've all been in a sport where we've been coached to some degree, whether you were 6 or you were 26, right? And you always will have one that you remember for something they've done. It doesn't have to be the win or how good you did or you won an award. It's usually none of that. It's something they said to you that changed that year, that moment, whatever was going on in your life, you know. It's so coaches are a huge part, I think, of who everyone is, you know, when you grow up and even later in life. So
I still try to talk to a lot of my coaches from high school and from college, because a lot of the things that they've taught me are lineage to what I'm teaching coaches now, or my fighters now. And that, like, I want them to know that. I want them to know that, like, hey, remember that one time you showed me this or taught me this or this thing, whatever you gave me? I'm putting it now. It's in a whole different genre. It's not football anymore. It's MMA, but it still applies. But what you taught me, that lineage is still carrying on. It's the best way I can pay any coach back for what they taught me. It's like, hey, it's still relevant.
Do you think, so when you started training, obviously, were you training with the mentality that you wanted to be a coach, or did you train because you just like to train, or did you want to fight?
So just wanted to train. I loved what I was doing. I was going to school to be a firefighter paramedic, and at night I was bartending. So I just knew that, like, I was like idle. It
was a hobby, right?
It was more of a hobby. Dennis Davis fought on a local show here. I think it was like SCC. And when Dennis was getting ready to fight on that card, the promoter came in, and I was training with Dennis, and the promoter offered me to fight Ryan Bader.
Ryan Bader
fucking murdered me, right? So my wife was about to pop with our first child. So McKenna's 14. So this is probably 15 years ago, right?
Yeah.
And so I went home and I said, there was no amateurs back then. It was like you fight professional or you don't at all. And I never got into the sport because, like, I want to be a pro fighter. I got in the sport because I just loved the environment. But at the same time, you know, my school and going into the fire career was more important to me. But I loved what I was doing with that. And then when I got the fight offer, I was like, oh, this is cool. Yeah, let me ask my wife. And my wife's like, are you out of your fucking mind? She's like, this pregnant.
That's exactly
she's like,
where we'd be.
No.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, they're going to pay me like $2,000. She goes, you make that in a week bartending. She's like, no. So I cornered Dennis for that fight, that card, you know, and Ryan Bader's on the fight. He fights some guy, like, probably broke the guy's neck. And I was like, thank God I didn't fight this fucking guy. But that was really, like, the only time that I was, like, entertaining. Yeah, I want to do this. You know, I want to fight. But, you know, my wife brought me back into perspective in the regards of, she's like, well, look at where, like, you know, God bless him, Dennis was at the time. She's like, he's fighting 3 times a year. He's making, like, $1,000 a fight, and he's spinning his wheels and not really being able to do anything other than his coaching.
Right.
She goes, is this the path you want to get on? Like, yes, you can make a lot of money down the line, but you're talking 15 years from now, you know, to be in that upper 10%. I wasn't going to be that fighter, you know? So she talked some sense into me about it. And then I slowly started to understand that I had a path in the coaching side of things.
So it just organically happened.
Organically happened. Exactly. It was really Randy. Randy was the one that was like, yo, you can do this, bro. And you can do this at a high level. And when he told me one day, he's like, and this is probably the best compliment I ever had, was I was cornering his son. And after one of his son's fights, you know, we're in the corner together, and he looks over at me. He's like, man, I wish I had you for some of my run.
Wow.
And I was
that's
awesome.
That's
why I was like, fuck you.
Well, okay, so then you had confidence, right?
Yes.
Once he told you that.
Yes.
So you've seen a lot of fighters. You've worked with a lot, coached a lot.
Yep.
Whether that's all the way through a camp or just a couple of times. who stands out to you as just being like, fuck, that is raw talent?
Talent-wise, obviously Francis jumps off the page a lot when it comes to just talent and athletic ability.
Off the page.
Off the page, man. You know, and obviously the physical prowess of what he has, but his athleticism, I think, is something that is very different. And what I mean by that is, you know, there's a lot of different technical things that we can do with him. And, you know, he's like a Ferrari. He really is. He's a sports car. And you can so when you go back and watch the Stipe fight, if we sat and watched the Stipe fight, I can break down things that you guys maybe wouldn't know or see that we were able to do, and we scripted those things verbatim, like from round one to the finish, and it just unfolded right in front of us, like we wrote it out.
So he's got greater fight IQ as well.
It was,
like
it was honestly, Flex,
student of the game.
It was an impressive fight.
I fucking played a video game that night.
Wow.
And you can hear, I mean, if we ever had the audio of it, and it was like, he had all the verbal cues for myself and Coach Dewey. Yep. He had all the like the you know, Usman with the, you know, hey, calms, take your time, this. So everything was literally in line, perfection. And it was because it was like we drilled it, we went over it, we did everything, and then we troubleshooted everything. So with him, if you explain to him the technique of the reasons why you're doing something, it resonates with him. If you just say, like, hey, man, throw this combination, and he's going to be like, well, fucking why?
Yeah.
You know, why am I throwing that combination? Hey, we're going to throw this combination because it's going to negate his level change, and if he drops levels, you're going to put a right cross in his face. Ah, got it. Well, I don't want to. Why am I punching him to his chest? Well, here's why. Because if he changes levels, you're going to punch him in his fucking nose. Yeah. Got it. Makes sense, you know? Why am I kicking his calf? Well, he loves lateral movement. So every time he throws a jab, we're going to rear hand parry, we're going to chop his calf in half. So when he jabs, his front foot's now gone. So how can he throw a cross when his front foot's gone? Yeah. Ah, okay, I get it. Hey, man, we're going to stance switch on this particular combination because he goes linear guard, and we're going to split his guard with that lead uppercut. But he's never going to see your stance switch. So he throws a cross, step through, lead up, bam, drops him.
And he just picks it up.
Hey, you are the artist when you're in the cage. My job is to give you the fucking paint.
Oh, it's well said.
You paint your picture, right? His picture is going to look very different from yours, but I'm providing you the paint, and you become the artist, and I get to sit back and watch you paint your masterpiece.
I'll tell you this. I had the honor, obviously, of watching sparring last week, and how you were able to look at four fighters all going at it, and then get in the cage, the octagon, you know, and we're able to give advice to every one of the athletes. And it's such a skill. So we're talking about, you know, going back to coaching and what makes you so unique and great at what you do, is I've seen it. Yeah. I've seen it firsthand. And I've heard what you've said to athletes. You know, they might not have had the round that they wanted in sparring. You got into their head mentally. And then you've gone to the other athlete and said something that could be, you know, that'll give them a boost again. So I guess what I'm getting at is your coaching skills are so unique that as a fight fan, and I've been around a lot of coaches, I've never seen it before. I watched the series of Francis that Francis has on his YouTube, and the last one that really stands out in my mind was you have I can't remember the name of it, something Hell on Saturday or something.
Sicko Saturday.
And it was 5 rounds of sparring plus cardio. It was just bananas. Can you just break that down? Because to me, it was bananas.
Yeah. Yeah, so Sicko Saturday, man, it kind of took like it started off with just really like me and Dan Ige. We were like ones that kind of really started, a couple other guys at the time. And what we wanted to do was just kind of replicate a fight environment and replicate stations, or like it was just like chaos rounds, you know? Yeah. And I'm sure other gyms and other teams might have been doing something similar, but we really took a liking to it. Yeah. And then for me, it was like, okay, what situations do we need to see more of in a fight, like game plan oriented, or okay, we're going to wrestle this guy, then we'll bring a partner in, and it's like, okay, you're going to hit pads, and now you got to wrestle.
Yeah.
And now you got to kick, and now you got to do this, now you got to ground and pound, you got to be here. You know, so the scenarios kind of started to come up a little bit more and more, where it was tailored more to the fighter themselves, or the game plan alone. But then it had this, like, I don't know, like, people took so much pride in being able to get through that sicko Saturday.
I would too.
You know what I mean? It was like, fuck, and you got bubble guts today. It's like, oh, what are we in for today, coach? It's going to be a fucking doozy, boys. We're going to have a good one, man. And then it turned into more. Like, there was like 2 people, then it turned into 6, then it turned into 10,
Crazy
right?
bastards.
And everybody wants to do the sicko Saturday because it was like you took pride in this. Yeah. But the one thing that I wanted to kind of emphasize to our fighters, the low-key, like, reasons behind it. I go, everybody's taking Saturday and Sundays off. Yeah. Everybody's taking Saturdays and Sundays off. We fight on Saturdays, boys, right? Let's go and try to start emulating the fact that we're going to be fighting this day. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Furthermore, when they're resting, we're going to stretch our fucking lead. We're going to take advantage of the times when they're resting, right? Yeah. So if we're getting in 6 days a week and they're only getting in 5, you do the math. Yeah. We're ahead of you now, and you're never going to fucking catch up to us.
Yeah. He's actually, I think, looking to come this Saturday, Sicko Saturday.
Yeah, he did tell me that.
I think he did say that right before we started.
It's not this Saturday. It's the one, it's the one when he's out of town. But the reason why I mentioned that, and I kind of was hoping for a segue, and you give it to me. You trained uniquely for Cyril.
Yes.
And then Francis picked up an injury.
Yes.
Tell me and tell the viewers, what was it like getting that injury, knowing that you guys have put so much work in? Because I know you sacrifice a lot away from your family.
Yeah.
You put a lot of time into all your fighters. You get this injury. This is such a massive promoted fight, and this happens.
Yeah. I understand that our fighters will feed off of our energy, and on the exterior, and especially around him, I try to remain calm and like, hey, we're going to be fine. We're going to figure this out. If we have to pull out, we will, yada, yada, yada. But when I was at home, my poor wife, freaking the fuck out.
Yeah.
Freaking the fuck out. And then I talked to my old man, and he's like, hey, this is what this shit's all about.
That's what about.
He's like, yo, you guys are supposed to be able to adapt and overcome. Right? And I'm like, yeah, fuck yeah, Dad, you're right. Yeah. You know, he goes, injuries happen, shit happens, figure it out. And I'm like, okay, we'll do. Right? But I'm still freaking out.
Yeah.
So myself, Coach Dewey, Markel, the manager, all 3 of us were on the same page that we thought we should pull out of the fight due to the injury that he had.
Wow.
Francis never fucking missed a beat, bro.
Come on.
He's like, nope, stem cells, we're going to fight. Okay.
Now, when he was telling you, sorry to jump in, but when he was telling you this, were you supportive, or were you kind of giving him a, well, Francis, this could happen, or whatever else?
Just like that. I was supportive, but I wanted him to understand all of his options.
Right.
Man, this guy is predicated on movement, the this.
Exactly.
You can't get side to side.
Yeah.
You know, but I would give like timelines. Okay, let's get through this week. Let's see how the injury holds up. Then we're going to go from there. Let's get through this week, and let's see all the way, Flex. This is the fucking true story.
Tell me.
So the Friday before we leave for fight week was the first time that he was really able to spar without a knee brace.
Wow.
Without a knee brace. So when I mean spar, so Dewey would move around with him, and Xavier would move around with them. Yeah. But he had like this fucking NFL knee brace on. And I'm like, bro, you can't wear that in a fight.
You can't wear it, yeah.
But his point, which I understood, and this is what I love about our team, is that we filter ideas off of each other. It's not my way. It's not anybody else's way. We're there for one another. And he's like, I can't take this brace off and risk further injuring my knee. Okay. So I need to keep it protected all the way up until the last whatever. Yeah. So the Friday before we leave, I'm fucking like in tears because so Dr. Elatraj ends up doing his knee surgery. That ended up doing his knee surgery. He calls Markel, the manager, that Friday and says, this knee injury can be irreversible. Like the injury can be so catastrophic that he can lose his entire career or be gone for however long. It's not worth the fight. And Markel calls me and tells me, he goes, what do you want to do? And I'm on my way. I'm on my way to the PI to have our final practice. And dude, I'm in tears. So I'm like, bro, like this is my one of my fucking, not only my best friend, right? Like one of my closest fighter, a dude who's, spends every weekend with me and my family, a guy that I love and I care about, but I have to be the one to be, to kind of bring him this news. I didn't have to. It's my job.
Right.
It's my job. All right, bro, I'm going to talk to him. We get to the PI, we sit down, and I go, bro, I think we pull out of this fight. Here's my reasons why. Here's what Dr. Elatraj thinks. The leading orthopedic surgeon for your injury in the fucking world probably does, like Tom Brady's knee. Everybody, he's telling you no.
Yeah.
He's telling you no. And he just, doesn't really miss a beat. And we kind of go back and forth. And there's YouTube footage of this somewhere. We haven't released it yet.
Okay.
And it's literally of me just going, bro, man, what are we doing? Like, I don't know, Yeah. And he goes, well, this kind of put a damper on sparring.
Wow.
He goes, how about this? We're going to fly out to LA on Tuesday. I'll go see Dr. Elatraj. And if Dr. Elatraj tells me that I can't fight, if this knee is that bad, then I'll pull out.
So wait, you went to fight week. I made the decision fight week.
Fight week.
Wow.
Outside of you guys, did anyone know?
I know people knew. So obviously he was getting his treatment done at the PI,
Right.
the gym, around the gym. You're walking around, bro, with a fucking knee brace.
Yeah. Was there concern?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. People were going to know inherently just because of the knee brace.
Yeah.
And he was getting it wrapped. He was getting it taped. He's walking around with it. It's going to happen. It's going to get out.
Right.
We knew that.
Yeah.
We already knew that. My job or my role in my mind was like, okay, let's get ahead of this and figure out ways to. So I knew in California you could wear knee sleeves. Okay. I want to make sure that the knee sleeves that we have are approved by the athletic commission. Mm-hmm. How do we get a hold of? I got a hold of Herzog. Hey Jay, what's the deal? So I tell Francis, buy 6 different styles. Wear 6 of them. Eliminate. Get the 3 that you like. Let's get it approved by Andy Foster, the head of California Athletic Commission, before we even get out there, bro. Let's check all these boxes. So in my head, I don't want to show up with jelly on my face. Like I want to be fucking prepared and ready to go, right? So we did. We had all those, everything was ready to go. So he ends up sparring that Friday, no knee brace, and looks amazing. Amazing.
Felt well.
And I'm, Elliot Marshall, one of my close friends. Elliot knows the situation because like he's like my fucking soundboard. Elliot's like, fuck, you gotta get him to pull out. This is crazy. So Elliot calls me right after the sparring, and he's like, so how'd it go? Like, what did he say? And I go, bro, he fucking looked amazing. Like he sparred Xavier, who's this great boxer, kickboxer, and I go, he looked great. I go, there's no issues whatsoever. I go, but we made a compromise. The compromise was we're gonna show up fight week. Elatraj is going to make the decision for us, right? We land in LA. We get our bags. He gets in a car. He goes by himself. You guys go get lunch. Pick me up. I'll call you guys when it's over. Okay. All right. Sure. Eating lunch. We're just waiting for fucking what's our fate.
You must have been on edge.
Oh, and I'm like, fuck. What whiskey. I'll have a whiskey. Hanging out. It's noon, guys. Yeah. I got you. So he goes, hey, come pick me up. Cool. Get in the car. He hops in the car. Silence. Nothing. Wow. We're just sitting there. Like, all right, man, what did he say? He goes, we're fucking fighting.
Yeah.
Fuck yeah, man. Hell yeah, we're fighting. Yeah, we're all fucking car, we're all pumped. We're all ready to go.
Yeah.
All right, we're driving the freeway. Like, all right, so what did he say? Like, what did the doc say? He goes, oh, not to fight. He said, my knee's fucked up. He goes, this thing's torn to shreds. It's an awful idea to fight. And I'm like, fuck it, dude.
What a fucking soldier,
savage. Like, his like play on the words that whole time, like, because it was hilarious because we're all sitting there like, we thought the doctor's like, yeah, you guys are good to go. We're good.
So funny.
He's like, oh, no. He said it was awful. He said, don't fight at all. We're like,
so the fight happens. Obviously, he was wearing a knee sleeve.
Yeah.
I know you and I spoke about this.
Yeah.
But tell us what you thought was going to happen, and obviously we know what happened.
Yeah. So when I got to fight week, my nerves completely went away.
Right.
Like I wasn't nervous for shit.
Yeah.
You can ask Mark, any of the boys. Like my fucking serial killer mentalities. Like I knew the moment we were going to fight.
Yeah.
I didn't give a fuck about anything else. The knee didn't matter anymore.
Yeah.
All right, bro. Tunnel vision right now.
This is it.
This is it. Right? And this motherfucker's in my sights, and we're gonna go take this dude out.
Yeah.
Any way possible. So we've been building this skill set to wrestle, to be able to wrestle for years behind the scenes. No one got to see this shit, but me, Randy, Dennis Davis, Nate Pettit, all the boys in the room. Any boys in the room that saw or watched this motherfucker spar, he was taking dudes down and maiming them.
Damn.
Maiming them. And
Meanwhile, we were all shocked.
And that's and just to clarify for the viewers too, that Francis is not known for being a wrestler.
Right.
He's phenomenal stand up. And again, listen, I know more than the average person, so I'm kind of speaking to the general fan. What do we call the
casual?
Casual. Thank you. Casual fan. Sorry.
So here's this knockout artist, right? This ominous figure when he gets in the cage.
Yep.
My job is to build more skill set to this individual in case we cannot knock somebody out.
Yeah.
Bro, we're a champion for a reason. We talked earlier, this guy's a fucking Ferrari. Yeah. One of the best athletes I've ever met in my life. Dang. So when we beat Junior Dos Santos, me and him went to dinner. And I said, hey, what are you afraid of? Me and you, bro, real talk. You're my brother. What are you afraid of? He goes, man, I'm afraid to get tired. I'm afraid of my cardio. And I'm afraid to get taken down. I said, okay. So I said, what if those things we equate to as being your boogeyman? You're afraid of those things that's under the bed. What if we took those things that you're afraid of and made them your greatest ally? Because I'd be the baddest motherfucker on the planet.
That's what he said.
That's what he said.
I'd love to hear that. That'd give me fucking goosebumps.
Yeah.
I said, let's get to work.
Damn.
So Sicko Saturday became church.
Yeah.
It became, all right, I know I hate this shit, but I'm going to make this boogeyman my fucking bitch. Wow. I hate wrestling, bro. I'm not a fan of it. Yeah. It's tough. Yep. But watch this. When you take this guy down, we're going to get a backside wrist, and we're going to beat his fucking brains in. He's like, oh, this is fucking fun. Wow. This is amazing. Slowly but surely, day after day, consistency over time equals results. We started getting those results, and he started to see it. He started believing in it. Yeah. So every practice we'd come, and he would take dudes down. And now I'm like, all right, man, we got to let him back up. The guy can't get up. All right, man, it's a TKO. Let him up. He's like, oh, fucking, he's got to get up. He's dead, bro. We can't. So like Countdown comes in and does the countdown show for Stipe. Mm-hmm. We have this guy come in, and Francis fucking hip tosses this guy, spikes him on his head, right? Gets on top, starts pounding. I'm like, yo, he's dead. Let him up. Like,
this is great sound bites for the.
Stop breaking all your toys. We're gonna have any fucking training partners.
Damn, yeah.
And I look at the guy for the countdown show. I'm like, please don't air that.
Yeah, don't put that in.
Don't put that in there. Like, I don't want anybody to see what we're doing.
Yeah.
Right? Please. And he's good dude. He's like, you got it, coach. No problem. I go, save it for another fucking time. Yeah. So we kind of try to keep that under wraps. And every doubter in the world, even my boy, Dean Thomas, my boy, he's like, there ain't no way you can teach this shit in 2 years. There ain't no way. I'm like, that's what I love to hear.
Yeah. I love that too.
I love that fucking shit.
I fucking love that too.
And you know what he loves? To get proven wrong. That's why he's my boy. Yeah. Coach Dean's like, yo, you can't teach this shit. Nah. I'm like, watch, motherfucker. We're going to fucking work. So we knew we had built this skill set behind the scenes, but we knew we couldn't apply it the way we wanted to in the training sessions due to the knee. Mm-hmm. But when we drilled this shit and we went over it time and time and time again, it was just going to be muscle memory. So the moment we got in the cage, the fight went on. Round one was close. Mm-hmm. Some gave it to Gone. I think Sal D'Amato gave it to Francis. Round two was clearly for Francis. I never changed my demeanor in a 5-round fight after the first 2 rounds because I know we got now a 3-round fight ahead of us, right? Round 3, in my mind, in a 5-round fight is the swing round. We need to create something that to get the fucking crowd going, to get the band playing. Yeah. How can we find that? Okay, let's work to try to find our takedowns or get in tight. Now, thankfully gone through this kick and the athleticism kicked in. It was Francis's read. He saw it, caught the kick, and fucking away she went.
Wow.
He gets him down, and the whole complexion of the fight changed.
Yep.
Round's over. Francis fucking gets up, and Ngannou is peeling his ass off the canvas.
Puffin.
And I walk in the middle of the cage. I think I have video or a picture of it. And I stand in the middle of the thing, and Francis goes to sit down. I have his stool, and I have his water. And I go, look at that motherfucker.
Wow.
He's fucking broke. And you are about as far away. You're gone.
Yeah.
And Ngannou looks back at me, and he's just, you see it.
Yeah.
And I see it.
Psychological.
I go, look at him. He's fucking broke. Yeah. And I sit Francis down, and I go, we're on to something, huh? And he goes, fuck yeah, we are. I go, let's go get this bitch again. Do another fucking takedown. Round 4. Let's set it up differently now. So now when we get that takedown, you got to think too, Flex. When we throw level change on him, he's got to worry. His hands got to go underhook. Okay, big overhand, boom, body lock, air chair, takedown. That's a wrap. Round 4 is done. 2-2 going into round 5. And you got this man who's been through every fucking thing you can imagine to get to the point that he's at today in his life. Across the Sahara Desert.
It's crazy.
Been on a fucking raft 11 tries. You know, fighting fucking the Moroccan police to get to where, I mean, dude, go listen to Joe Rogan's podcast and hear what this guy's been through in his life. So you mean to tell me that 5 minutes separates you from beating this motherfucker, from all the shit you've been in your life? Man, I had goosebumps.
Didn't you say something in the corner? I remember in the 5th round.
Yeah.
You said something. Obviously, it's meaningful for you both, but
I said, bro, I looked at him in the face and I was like, man, we've been through way more shit than this
That's what it
motherfucker's
is.
ever seen in his life.
That's what it
I go,
is.
this is 5 minutes for you
Damn.
is nothing compared to what this guy's been through in his life. I go,
Yikes.
I just giggled. I was
Yeah.
like, I already fucking know we won this fight. This dude's broke. Let's go finish this shit. And Dewey's like, take his punk ass down. Go take this punk motherfucker down and beat his ass.
I like that
you know?
guy.
So his demeanor, his face, everything in that corner, he didn't need that minute.
yeah.
I was like, hey, we get this. I want you to get off that stool, fucking bounce. Let him see you bounce.
Yeah.
Right? And here he is looking over like, this motherfucker ain't even tired.
Sicko Saturday.
Sicko Saturday, man. And
You
then
know.
you know what? I know you're tired.
Yeah.
I know you're this. I know you're that. But we're not going to show that motherfucker that we are, because Randy taught us that shit. He goes, look, they're going to look at you and they're going to look at your body language. They're going to see how you are. Fake it.
Yeah.
Be Denzel Washington right here. Be the best actor you can be, because he's going to look over and go, I'm fucking beat. This guy's over here bouncing.
Yeah.
Fuck. All right, here we
It's
go.
a massive mindfuck.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Now, meanwhile, he's getting yelled at by his coach. His
Yeah.
coach over there yelling at him. You got to fucking... Hell no, bro. We're going to smash this cat.
Well, you and I obviously connected because we're kind of into the same stuff psychologically,
Yep.
you know, mental warfare, mental fortitude, you know, doing things or going the extra mile that, you know, no other fighter or athlete wants to do. It's obviously got me my titles, and I was in that sort of mindset for a number of years. Now I can kind of look back and think, holy shit, that's a different guy.
Yeah.
You know? Going to on the psychological side of things, that fight there was a lot of psychological warfare. That was his old coach from France.
Yep.
And I know that I've read some things going into there. They were trying to play the mind games and stuff, and obviously they knew about the knee.
Yep.
But they didn't go for the knee,
Yep.
which shocked me. It's kind of a two-fold question, and I want to ask you that first. One being the knee. Aside from that, how much psychological warfare do you play on your athletes that step foot in the gym? Because you got athletes that are kind of amateurs to the pros. And I know that as a coach, you kind of have to wear many hats.
Right.
Tell me about what you kind of do to prime an athlete who maybe doesn't believe in himself as much as you do. And also an athlete, so it's actually 3 questions. How an athlete that's at the top, how do you keep that guy motivated every single fight to come back and go for, you know, a title defense, just as he was chasing that title?
So the ones I feel like you understand and you know the fighter that you have, I think it gives you your material on what you need to work with. sometimes it's small little things, Flex, like a small text message or a small reminder or just the little things of like, I call them like just seeds. Like I'm just planting little seeds here and there. Sometimes they might not have the best round in the world, but if I can emphasize the good things that they did that round and we can use that to build off of, it deflects some of that negativity that maybe they had a bad round, they had a rough round, you know, and a lot of times it's just optimism to its fullest and feeding them the right information that I think that they need. And I talked to him about that. Like, listen, your diet's not only what you eat, it's what you feed your brain, right? And there's a lot of times you got to be your fucking biggest fan. Yeah. You personally, man, because not everybody's going to pick up after you.
Is there a fine line there, though? Like,
can be
being optimistic, right? You want to put positive energy into the fighter, but then you have fights like Rose Namajunas, right?
Yeah.
And the advice was so optimistic that
it was wrong.
You're
right? Absolutely right. And it turns into great example, Doug. And I think you get into a lot of tunnel vision at times. And I know Pat. I think they're all great. And by no means was this like a knock. I think that you looked at that as your wife rather than the fighter at the time, and you became tunnel vision in that moment. Yeah. It's hard for me to say that because I know that I wasn't there and I wasn't there in their camp.
Of course. Yeah.
But from an outsider's perspective, and what the information that was being fed almost seemed like it was like, oh, I don't want to hurt your feelings. Right. Whereas like there's times, dude, some of the worst fucking ass chewings I've given guys are the guys I love the most.
Sure.
Right. Dan Ige, Kai Kaman, you motherfucker, you know, and I just know that I'm going to get the response out of them that I need.
Yeah.
Right?
So you have that balance, right? Like it's optimism, but sometimes it's going to be like, I'm on your ass.
Man, because I know your full potential. Like when Kai fought Danny Chavez and it was his last fight in the UFC, I straight up said, like, you're fighting for your fucking job right now. Your job. Yeah. I know what you're capable of doing, but you got to think to yourself, like, dude, I might be out of a job if I lose this round. Right? And I have to be very clear with him in that moment, because if I'm not the guy you should hire. Yeah. Sure. Right? Hey man, you look great. That's awesome job. No, fuck that. Yeah. Dude, we've been through 8 weeks of fucking hell together. Not only that, we built this foundation of what we're doing, and it's leading up to 5 minutes. Like, you got to go, bro. Yeah. Like, let's fucking scrap. You know, and I think you have to have that in you at certain times. You have to pull it back at certain times. You have to know your fighter.
I was going to say, you probably have to know who can take it too, right?
Oh, man. Like
some people sure get butthurt, right?
Oh, well, you know, then you corner Sean Strickland. Sean Strickland don't want a stool. You don't want water. You don't want to sit down. And you're like, yo, bro, I got to tell you some shit, because you're fucking water. And you're like, holy shit, man. You know,
he is a different breed.
Just a different breed of cat. Oh, so I mean, you're almost like you're just this like conductor to an orchestra, but everybody's got their fucking instrument, and you're just trying to make music with it. You know? So they're crazy, man. But I think for me, a lot of times it's just really understanding and knowing who and what you have. You know.
That makes sense.
And then to finish your question too, Flex, like when Francis beats Stipe, we're in the back and we haven't even gotten the photos yet. And I grabbed all of us, the whole team. I was like, look, our journey has just begun today. Because our hardest fights are going to be the ones that come up from here on out. The target is now on our back. And we cannot let off the gas pedal, bro. We cannot. Because, and this is the one thing that always stood out to me with Randy. One of the things the biggest thing I remember lesson he ever taught me, or not necessarily taught me, but just alluded to, was he said his hardest fight he ever had was his first title defense. Yeah. Defense. The defense.
I can attest to that.
Yeah. So, he would explain to me and hammer that home. So when we won and it's fucking I'm like, hey, we're fucking dropping this gas pedal, and we're stretching our lead, and we're gonna find the areas that we can improve on. So people always are trying to catch up to our striking and our power. All right, now we got the wrestling. Yeah. Right. All right, now we got the wrestling. Now we got the striking. Now we're gonna blend. Now we're gonna do this. Now we're gonna do this, and we're this. So when you look at Tom Brady, look at Kobe Bryant, you look at all these the GOATs, when they're on the mountaintop, they're trying to stretch their lead.
Still working hard.
They're still working hard.
Yeah.
They're trying to find ways to improve, try to find ways to be better. Yeah. And maybe sometimes, too, it's not necessarily in the cage. Maybe it's like my diet. Maybe it's the people I'm surrounding myself with. True. Maybe it's my sleep. Maybe it's this. Maybe it's this. But you can always fucking better your best. And that was my biggest thing with these guys. And it's like, look, man, we're going to find ways to improve.
So do you see an athlete and go, man, this guy has so much potential, but he's surrounding himself with fucktards?
All the time.
You do. So you have the uncomfortable conversation, you know, to see this guy go better, knowing that it might hurt your relationship with this person.
Yeah. My dad would always say you have to worry when a coach stops talking to you.
That's good.
That's when you should worry. And there's guys that I've spoken to till I'm blue in the face because I love and I care and I see the potential, and you just can't fucking help them.
No.
Yeah.
I can't want it more than you, man.
Yeah.
Why am I on you for being on time? Why am I on you for not having the proper gear?
I know someone who lives by that.
Right? I can't want this shit more than you, bro.
Yeah.
I can't fight for you.
Yeah.
But I can help you get to that point because I see the potential in you. And then over time, it's like, you and I talked about this before, man. The one resources in our life we don't get back is our time.
Right.
We have family, we have children that are begging for that time. And I'm going to give this dude time who can't even fucking show up on time?
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can't
preach.
You can't wear the proper gear to practice. And what does that tell me? That you're not a teammate. You can't put tape on your fucking Velcro, right? Because that's going to cut your partner. Right. That Velcro. I don't give a fuck about my partner. Wow. You can't wear knee pads to protect your partner, but they got knee pads to protect you. You don't give a fuck about your partner, can't fuck with you, man. That's right.
Well, it goes with the saying, you're only as good as the company you keep.
100%.
And that goes back to your whole thing about the gym.
Yep.
You walked in there. That was the first thing that kind of gravitated you to want to be there is the company. Right? So that goes far. It goes with everything.
And here's the secret to that, is we as a team sat down and we asked the question, what do you guys want to be? What do you want this gym to be? Do you guys want to win some world titles, or do you just want to be an average MMA gym? Right. Of course, what's the answer?
Yeah.
Win titles.
Win titles. Great. I'm glad you said that. We as a gym are going to set a standard and a precedence that we are going to follow. It's not my fucking rules. It's our rules.
Right.
Are you guys in agreement to this? Yep, I'm in, coach. Tape, on time, I'm in. So I don't always have to be the one to go and police it. You got Brad Tavares over here, who's been in our gym for 15 years. He's the hockey enforcer without the hockey stick. Going, I hope a motherfucker sticks his head underneath that water and drinks out of that thing. Then they don't have you know what I mean? Like he's ready to go because he understands. He's seen the formula work.
Right.
Our standard that we've set for us. And it doesn't matter who you are. You could be the baddest man on the planet, have all the titles in the world. Hey, man, sorry, you just don't fit our standard. Right. You don't fit our team. You don't fit the environment. Got to go. And usually, honestly, they ostracize themselves. We don't have to kick them out. They're like, yo, these guys, fuck it. I'll just go do my own thing. Great, perfect. Have to deal with that shit. See you later. Yep. Yeah.
Is there a moldable athlete that comes into the gym? Is there like an upbringing that is there's a pattern that you see? Because I've got a lot of friends who are fighters, a lot of friends in various different sports. And the majority of my fighter friends didn't grow up with a pot to piss in.
Yeah.
And I found that these guys are the ones that are very moldable, have the most respect for the coach. They might not have had a father figure. You are the father figure.
Yeah.
Is that kind of a similar thing you see?
Very much the common denominator, I think, in a lot of them. Very much so. Tough upbringings, broken homes, abuse, verbal, physical, everything that you can possibly think of. Yeah. And I think that, again, like we talked about, knowing your fighter and understanding them, it helps you almost as a therapist in a lot of ways to help navigate them. And I have a kid that, he's been through a lot of shit in his life. I know that the biggest thing that he needs to feel is that I'm there for him. Yeah. I'm there. Hey, bro, I'm never going to leave you, man.
Yeah.
I know you have abandonment issues. I don't say those things, but I know that that's where he feels.
Right.
Like, man, everybody just left me my whole life. And I sometimes like, hey, man, I told him that last week I was mopping the mats, and it was just like this improv thing. I'm mopping the mats, and I see him just standing there talking to another guy, and I walk over to him as I'm mopping the mats. I'm like, hey, you're going to be fucking world champion one day, bro. Wow. And he's like, you think? I go, that's not what I said. I didn't say I think you're going to be world champion one day. I go, you're going to be fucking world champion one day. Now what I want you to do is say that back to me. He goes, I'm going to be world champion one day. I was like, then fucking believe that shit.
Give me chills.
And I walked away, just kept mopping the mats, right?
Yeah.
And then later on, the guy that he was talking to texted me, Charles. Charles goes, dude, what you said to that kid, I saw it like fucking ripple through him. And he just like, his demeanor changed, his posture changed, everything changed about him, you know, because he's fighting this week. And just those little things of encouragement to know, like, yo, this dude is with me no matter what. Win, lose, or draw, he's not going to leave me he's not going to leave my side. Having that confidence and knowing a lot of these guys from their upbringing, I think that they just need to feel that.
Yeah. It's a very unique world, and because you're captain of that ship, you know these guys, like you said, us as fans only see the outcome. We see the win, we see the loss. You see all the layers that go into it, what guys gets these guys ticking, what guys get these guys kind of want to become world champions.
Right.
And then you have to, at so many different levels, find the psychological push.
Yeah.
That must weigh really heavy on you. Do you take that home sometimes, or you've been able to put it, leave it in the gym?
I try, but, you know, being with my wife as long as I've been, she's my greatest resource as far as like, hey, babe, you need a weekend off, or you need to, let's go on. Like, she knows me so well, but she handles, I think, my psychological ups and downs better than anybody. Yeah. And sometimes Flex is just like, I just want to chill with my little dude today. We're going to go throw the ball. And I'm going to go take my daughters out on a little date. We're going to go get sushi. And it helps ground me. But it was something that, like, Teddy Atlas got on me about the first time I met Teddy. He's like, yo, you got to fucking invest more time with the family.
Really?
Oh, bro. He was on me about it.
Damn.
You got too many fighters, man. Cut that in half. More time with the fam. Because I'm telling you through experience. Right? Yes, coach. You got it. You know,
nice,
and when he said to me, it was like fucking gospel. You know? So my point to you is, like, we give everything we got every day to everybody around us. And very rarely, by our role alone, is it reciprocated back. And that's okay. It's by design. I have no problem with that. But my wife's point is sometimes, babe, you might not be getting it back, but we need to go fucking plug you in and just recharge you.
Yeah, you got to refill your cup.
You got to refill your cup. Exactly. Yeah. And that was the exact analogy that Teddy gave me.
Wow.
He goes, look, you get 1 cup a day. This is your time. This is your day. 1 cup of water. He goes, each facet of your life is a bucket. And each bucket commands water.
Yeah.
Now, are you filling up each bucket equally? Or are you fucking overflowing one?
Sure.
Right? Your fight career, your fight game right now, he goes, bro, you're dumping all your water over there. Take a second, put some water over in the family, the faith, whatever.
Yeah.
Anything you have on, like, take your time and try to start thinking about how much water each bucket's getting.
It's like you said a second ago, you know, you got a fighter who's taking, they'll keep taking, but if they're not fully committed, you're dumping that cup for what?
For what? Right? For what? And then for him to move on to the next gym.
Right.
To the next coach, whatever it may be, you're like, fuck, well, that was a waste of time.
Yeah, that's got to be hard.
You know, it is what it is, but it's part of the sport. But, you know, and that's some things too, like, you know, my dad always talked about is like, don't let that ever change who you are, because that makes you who you are. People come to you because of your passion and your enthusiasm and your attention to detail and all those things. So over time, you're going to get, like, you know, chipped away at.
Sure.
You know, and then you're like, I'm fucking, I don't want to do this shit anymore. Nah, you can't be like that, you know?
So when you're in the gym and you see athletes, all different, you know, they're fighting in various different organizations, what characteristics do you see that's like, that guy is going to be a fucking champion?
Definitely the attention to detail. I think that is the consistency. Consistency and attention to detail really resonates with me.
Questions asked and stuff like that. And
the fight IQ, the situational awareness, right? But just what made you so good at what you are today, Flex? Reps. Reps. Over and over and over and over again until you can't fuck it up.
Monotonous, time and time and time again.
Right? So Coach Follis always talked to us about C plus T, consistency over time equals results, right? So when you're in the gym every day and you're focusing and doing all those things over and over and over and over again, that's going to equal the results. So these guys, what we've built is this community. Yeah. So we have our practices, but what I love the most is when, hey, Doug, what do you got going on today? Oh, you want to drill today? Hey, remember that thing Coach was showing? Let's go drill that a little bit. Finding the time during the off time to find ways to improve and become better. Those are the guys that I see that really jump off the page. Yeah. Practice is over. Francis Ngannou, jump ropes for 45 minutes. Doesn't have to. Doesn't need to. But again, we talked about earlier, the messages like that my son sees and gets, those same messages are being rippled through my young amateur pro. Hey, you want to be a fucking champ one day?
Look at that.
There he is. Skipping rope. Doesn't have to. Doesn't need to.
It's probably the most applicable advice for any aspect of your life, right? Is consistency plus time equals results.
Yep.
Because that's business, that's education, that's training, that's fighting, that's bodybuilding.
Yep.
Right? If you want to be successful, it's parenting, right? It's anything.
Don't fall in love with the end product. Fall in love with the process. Because if you're so fixated on the fucking finish line, you're going to get to the finish line and you're going to be like, well, now what?
Yeah.
I love the process every day to be able to show up and go to work and go, like, this is my job? I just showed up without my shirt on. I'm wearing flip-flops, right? Like, I get to go fucking train with Ray Cepho and Brad and Francis and the boys. Like, I get paid for this. I enjoy the process because eventually I understand, like, this is going to run out.
Sure.
Right? I'm going to be too old. I'm going to be too crusty. No one's going to fucking work with me. But
You'll
right now, well, I love it.
Well, I'll say that you and obviously Henry Hoof was another coach that I have a tremendous amount of respect for. I've watched many sparring sessions when he was Black Zillions. Then he went to
Sanford.
No, before Sanford, he was at the Action Park, that place, whatever that was.
Hard Knocks.
Hard Knocks.
Yeah.
And then Sanford. Obviously, I've seen it grow tremendously in what he's done. But what I love about Henry Hoof is he's just like you. He's there. He's got the pads on. He's holding mitts. You know, he's getting the shit kicked out of him every single day, several times a day, and he's still turning up. You know, he's not in the octagon. He's not, you know, but he is. You know, and again, what I love about Henry is too, the passion he has. From the time I've met him to now, nothing has faltered. You know, I seen him cornering and just the excitement he gets, and when the fighter loses, he feels it too, just like you. And again, that's one of the reasons why I clicked with you before I got to personally meet you was you just fucking bleed this stuff.
Bleed this stuff, man.
You do.
Let's talk about Henry for a second. He is the epitome of my big brother in this sport.
Oh, wow.
And so the parallels that you're drawing on, like, he has no invested interest in me whatsoever. And this man gives me time all the time. Anytime I pick up the phone and call Henry, advice, thoughts, hey, what do you think about this? Anything, he's always made himself available to me. And he told me the same exact thing that you just said. He goes, I see your style, your attitude, your enthusiasm in me.
Wow.
So I want to try to help. Like when Coach Follis passed away, like I didn't have that mentor really anymore. And Henry and Trevor Whitman both had reached out to me and been like, hey, anything you ever need, man.
Wow.
Anything you ever need. So here's a guy who I think is at the top of his game.
Absolutely.
And not only at the top of his game, but constantly improving. Always puts his team in front of him. Leaders eat last, right? Always puts a team in front of him. Travels all around the world to do what he has to do for his team and for his family. He has his rules. He has his standard. But once you are in and you're a part of that rules, that standard, that skill, he will fucking die for you, bro.
Seen it,
man. And he is by far, I mean, one of my guys that I look up to the most in this career. I picked him up one day, and this is kind of a cool story for me. He makes the time to come over. This is like COVID era too. Makes the time to come over to my gym. He's in town for a fight. Yeah. Comes to the gym, watches a practice. And I go, what's up, coach? Like, man, great to see you. He says, don't call me coach. I'm your brother. All right. I call him coach all the time out of respect. Oh, I ain't your fucking coach. I'm your friend, you know? So I just wrote to him a couple days ago too. I was like, yes, coach. And he's like, coach, who's coach? Big bro, my bad. And, you know, he spends the time to come over to the gym and sees what we're doing and you know, just to be present. So he gets on his phone and practices over. He's like, oh, I'm going to grab an Uber and head back. And I go, no. Let me drive you back to the hotel. He goes, no, I'm going to Caesars. I'm going to go bounce around and see the sights, you know. So it's like the city's kind of opened back up again. I go, no, man, it's my honor to have you here. I'm driving you to Caesars. I want to spend a little time with you in the car. Just wrap, get in the car. We drive, we're talking shop, whatever. And we pull up to the Caesars. We're at the valet. And there's like this, like, all right, coach, you know, like, and then like, you know, he just kind of sits in the car and it's just like this silence, you know. And he just stops and he looks over at me and he's like, hey, he goes, one day I'm going to be done with this sport. I'm going to retire and I'm going to, I feel great knowing that I'm handing the reins over to a guy like you.
Come on.
Yeah, I swear, bro. Like, I was like, and I was like, man, I was like my idol's talking to me right now. Yeah. You know, and I was like, oh my God, thank you, coach. And don't fucking call me coach. You know, so, and then he just always has made himself available to a guy that he has no invested interest in.
But he does.
Yeah. But he does, right? He cares.
He sees what you're doing, man. Yeah. Because there's not many coaches that I know there's coaches that I can mention right now, but you two are so aligned in just how you guys give back. Yeah. You know, I read something that you even training on Christmas Day. That's how much you give back to your athletes because there was a fights coming up.
Yep.
So, I mean,
there's no holidays for us. There's no holidays. Yeah. And I think that for me, I always say, like, follow your lead, like follow his lead, you know, and he's laid the foundation for me to understand the path. But what I love so much about Coach Henry is that he wants me to beat him. Yeah. He wants me to better what he's doing, right? And that's what shows you the type of individual that man is that, yes, we might compete against each other. We might have fighters compete with one another. That's going to happen along those lines. But he's very proud of my work. I'm very proud of his work. When we have big fights, we reach out to one another. But he is the one dude, one of very few, that write you when we lose. Wow. He's very, like, a lot of people like, man, I don't want to bug you. I saw you lost. And, you know, nah. Henry's always in that DM or he's always on a text going, hey, keep your head up. Here's some things I saw, maybe things you can work on. Because he understands my ego is not going to be, who's this guy telling me what to do? Right. No, he understands that we're still growing. We're still building. And he knows that what he tells me, I'm going to take and I'm going to fucking apply it, you know?
Spinning off that, how hard is it for some fighters who are on a kind of a 2-3 fight loss for you to get back into their mental sort of, you know, in their mindset and be like, listen, this is the last 2 fights are not, this isn't telling the story that you are going to be telling in the end.
Yeah, I mean, we can look at that with Dan right now, you know, and I think for Dan, it's very different for me than most fighters because it's very personal. Yeah. Like, we've been on the road together forever. We've been grinding with each other forever. So those losses weigh super heavy on me with him. But I always try to go back to remember the times when, like, hey, when we won 6 in a row. Yeah. What was the formula that we had then? What were we doing back then? And you know, you're not always going to replicate what you were able to do because, you know, he has a kid now. He's married. Things change. Your life environment changes. But his skill set, in my opinion, has just been continually improving. He's just been fighting fucking killers. He's been fighting killers lately. Yes. So when you and I talked on Sunday after his fight, there's clarity in my mind when I know that, like, he didn't leave any crumbs behind. He didn't do camp half-ass. Mm-hmm. He didn't cut any corners. Sometimes a motherfucker's just better than you that night.
Yeah.
Right? And
that kid was a savage.
That kid was a savage, man.
Yeah, he was.
So I take it doesn't hurt me as bad if he had just been fucking not doing the right things.
Yeah.
You know?
Not in it.
Yeah. No, he checked all the boxes. He went out and put his best product forward. It wasn't his night that night.
Yeah.
but it gives us something to go back and draw upon because Dan is uber talented. He's all of his losses have been by decision. He's not getting knocked out. No. He's not having CTE issues where I have to be like, hey man, maybe we hang it up.
That's gonna be a hard conversation too, right? Yeah.
You know, so I have a lot more confidence in going into another camp or another fight with him, knowing his work ethic, his drive is still there, and you know, I think for me as a coach is just finding new wrinkles and new things to give him to improve upon.
Yeah. Well, obviously, I'm friends with Lance Palmer.
Yeah, my guy.
Cody No Love is obviously over there. So you guys have got such amazing athletes, you know, and great teammates that have been there, who can talk to Dan. They all can talk to each other and get themselves out of that sinker. I spoke to Dan on Sunday, obviously, after the fight. I didn't expect to hear from him because I don't know, some fighters go radio silent, someone just be back in the gym straight away, and it seems like he's in a pretty good mindset. You know, he knows that he left everything in there, and I've never seen a fight that Dan isn't in the fucking war in. I mean, that guy leaves it all in there. So, and that's what I was trying to tell him. It's like, as a friend and as a fan, I watched that and I was so fucking proud of you.
Me too.
Because it was an incredible, you know, he was incredibly prepared. Speaking to you prior, when I seen him a couple of days before, his mentality was just fucking shit. You could see he was just like, oh, I wish this was tomorrow, you know? And then I've been around the off-season Dan too, and he's just such a chill, nice guy, family guy. But he was like pit bull, you know, that week. But yeah, in kind of wrapping up this podcast,
we need to do a follow-up to this, though.
We do.
The three of us go over there and you put us through it.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
What, on Sicko Saturday?
I'm in. Just let this heal first, but I'm in.
Yeah, I have to heal, too. So you can do it.
Yeah, you start. Well, let us know how it is.
Eric's already tried to put me in a scenario last week when the schmo was there filming at the gym. He was like, I'll hold pads for you, and then we'll talk about your first fight. I'm just throwing it out there. And for everybody watching, that is not one of the things I'm working on.
You versus who?
It'd have to be for charity. Oh, fuck, listen, now it's going to be, you know, I'm planting a seed here. But the last question of the podcast, and it's kind of out of the realm. Looking at all the celebrities out there in the world, who would you love to get your teeth into and train that you think have the ability to be a decent fighter?
Oh, that's a great question. Celebrity-wise, man, I don't know. I mean, it's funny because I'm so out of that realm when it comes to what we do, but like
outside of me.
Okay. There's been football guys that have come into the gym that I've been like, man, this dude, if he were to fight, I think this dude would be a savage, you know? And Patrick Willis really jumped off the page, inside linebacker for the 49ers, played at Ole Miss, retired kind of at a young age, but I think he was an all-pro every year that he was in the league. Stud, man. And he really jumped out to me. Sean Merriman trains at the gym all the time, man.
Sean's
over here with you guys as well. I've held pads for Sean in the past. Super athletic guy where it's like, man, if I had a little time with this guy, I think we can do some big things, man. But celebrity-wise, I don't know. Like, I think there's, you know, like you think like the Brad Pitts of the world and stuff like that. Or like, man, these dudes, I don't think they don't want to. They don't want that heat.
They don't want to get hit.
Because you know, Jay Haran is like my big brother. You know, Jay is now into the film side of things. You know, and he's a stunt man and does all this other stuff. Then Jay comes back and they fucking pussies, bro. Fucking, you know, like, this guy fucking got a bump on his head and he can't fucking train. He goes from Long Island. You know, the little shit like that. So, I think that crossing over some of those athletic genres like football, you know, rugby, bodybuilding, I think because the mindset of these guys, I think be able to find that because they have that work ethic, and so do a lot of celebrities and actors, but for their own craft, right? Right. But man, you give me some of those, like give me that Patrick Willis. Ooh, man, we can make that guy a monster. He already was a monster. You know, I think he can do some stuff.
Do you know one of my friends? He's kind of gone from powerlifting now into boxing. You know, Big Boy.
Yeah.
Fuck, he's got some power.
Over at Costa Mesa,
Yeah.
Ruka's gym. Yeah,
Ruka's gym.
Man,
That's right.
he's an athlete.
Fuck, he is.
He's a fucking athlete.
Yeah, he can move. Shout out, big boy.
Dude. And shout out to Pat and my boys over at Ruka.
Yeah.
So when Francis was fighting in Anaheim, we were driving down to Costa Mesa, and Pat and the boys, Big Boy and all of them, were opening the gym for us. So we were hanging out and rapping with those guys. But I was like, this dude's a fucking athlete.
He is.
So much athleticism.
Yeah.
It's insane.
Pull-ups and claps. I'm like, what, bro? Like,
I know. He kind of breaks that stereotype. He kind of, I was talking to you about that, breaking that stereotype as a bodybuilder. And I look at this guy, and he's, pulling 700 plus from the floor, and then he goes on a X mile run that day. So there was everybody was training. Myself and Big Boy done shoulders, and I smoked him on shoulders. Sorry, Big Boy. But then there was oh shit, what's his name? Chico Vera.
Yeah.
He came over too, and there's a good crew. It was Bam. Yeah. There was Action Bronson. Yeah. Everybody was there, and they all trained, and then they all went on a run. And then they came back and done their thing. But I was thinking, man, Big Boy is, he stands out like a sore thumb.
Right.
And you think that this guy is no way. But if you watch him, and I've known him for a very long time, move, incredible. To me, that would be a guy.
That's a good one, man.
I would put under you.
And not to mention, like,
Go for it.
I only got to meet him like twice. And right away, like, I was like, I like this dude's vibe.
Yeah,
I like his energy. Dude. Like, if you're gonna be around somebody, invest time in. It's like, oh man, I like this dude. Like, I dig this guy. But Big Boy jumped off the page right away. Even like watching some of his work, I'm like, this motherfucker's huge, bro. What's he doing?
He's coachable though as well.
Yeah, but super nice guy, super humble. And I was like, man, that's a good one there.
That's the only guy.
Come on, Big Boy, come to the gym, bro.
Yeah, let's go. Come on, Extreme Couture's waiting for you. Is there anything you guys want to touch on before we end this fantastic podcast?
No, I think I asked my questions.
No, we just need to set that date for when we come. We need a Sicko Saturday.
Sicko.
We'll follow it up.
Yeah, man, I was pumped when you got to come to the gym because, I think it's different to talk about it, but then to be there and feel the environment, smell it, feel it, and you got fucking Sean Strickland busted open, bleeding all over the place, and then you got, Brad and all the boys in the room, and it just, man, that environment I think is what I take so much pride in. It's just like that. There's going to be some fucking scalps today, boys.
Yeah. Iron sharpens iron.
That's right.
And when I walked in there, they were getting warmed up. And I was like, this is a fucking warm-up? I was like, where do I stand? Where do I stand that I don't catch anything, like a fucking hook or something? So thank you very much. I had a fantastic book, which I'll put on the podcast, which I'm going to read. My goal is to get through 2 books.
Nice.
This month. Ali's
this
pushing
month?
me hard.
Nice.
Well, I said by the end of the year, but now it's gone up to, it's been down a month. That's my goal. And also getting to see, Sean Strickland sparring with the PFL guy from Sweden.
Yeah, Sadabu.
That guy is a fucking freak too, man.
Just a specimen.
I'd never seen him until that time.
Yeah.
Damn, he's just built for it, right? Long limbs.
Man, he's a specimen. He's fighting Rory McDonald in his next fight. Like,
shout out to him.
Man, you look around the gym and it's just fucking
studs.
Killer after killer after killer with big fight, and a lot of money on the line, a lot of belts, a lot of things. Sean wins this next fight. He's next in line to fight Izzy.
Big.
Yeah.
So there's a lot going on there, man.
As crazy as Sean is, and I got to see the post sparring media content. When you start talking, silence.
Yeah.
And that, my friend, is a beautiful thing to see.
Yeah.
As an athlete, I'm surrounded by guys who also, a little bit nuts, but then there's a respect factor.
Yeah.
And you've got it. And for me, as somebody who's becoming a new friend, but also as a fan, watching from the outside in, you run that gym by respect. And when you came in and you started, you do your shout. I don't know what you shouted, but you could tell the whole dynamic of the gym went from noise, movement and chatter to you saying, I don't know what the call was, but it'd be kind of coaches talking's gone.
Yeah.
And then during sparring, when you were running into the cage, and there was no sparring partner for one of the guys at one point in time, you just run in. You just were taking a fucking pounding,
Yeah.
getting dropped.
Yeah.
You know, you had no mitts and you were holding.
Oh, Albert, yeah.
You were holding
Right.
your hands up,
Yeah.
and I was there.
Yeah.
And I think the things like that, because you do this such subconsciously, because this is who you are and this is what you do, you bleed this shit. These athletes, like as myself now, look at you and go, fuck, you know, this guy is the man.
Yeah, man.
So,
Thank you.
So for me to you, man, you got all my respect.
Yeah, we have a couple of those guys in from Dagestan, and Timur, one of them said, he's like, Coach, you never leave. You never leave here, brother. You're always here. And I'm a don't tell me, show me guy.
Yeah.
I don't want to fucking scream it from the rooftops. I just want to do it by my actions. And when a guy needs me, you know, Albert didn't have a round. We had to give the guy a round. He has a fight coming up in 2 weeks. All right, man, let's go. I'll take my ass whooping. Let's get this work in.
And you did.
We did. We got his work in.
And you know what I also noticed? He done that round with his athlete, Albert, right?
Albert, yeah.
And then you got up, and then you were looking at the same time at the other two athletes in there, and then give them advice on what they needed to do.
Yeah.
And then after the fact, you broke it down for me as well.
Oh, for
where
Sabu.
you were talking about combos, which I really appreciate. And you were talking about rhythmic patterns. You know, if you go for this, then it's this. And then if they read you on this, go for it again, but then do a low leg kick, whatever it was. But again, it's being a student of the game as a coach still, but yet breaking everything down to be there with your fighters, being like, listen, I'm doing this. You know, I'm turning up. I'm doing everything that you should be doing. So respect me, and that's what you've got.
Yeah, at the end of the day, you guys said it best. It is an individual sport once that cage door closes. Yeah. But you're only as good as the team and the environment you surround yourself with. And that's my goal. That's my job, is to make everybody feel like no matter what, when you get to the fight, sometimes the X's and O's, the techniques, that's going to go out the window. But when you look over and you're like, yo, I know that motherfucker believes in me. I know he's got my back. I'm ready to ride with this dude. We're gonna die together. Fuck it, let's go. Let's go. And then that to me is the environment that I want to set. Like we're all there for one another. We're gonna push each other to greatness.
Well, my friend,
that's awesome.
That's awesome. Like, I think that's the best way we can end. Pushing each other to greatness.
Sure.
I appreciate you, my friend.
Well, thanks for having me.
I'm already looking forward to part 2.
Oh yeah.
There's so many stories that we could have talked on, but again, I wanted to do the intro, get a few layers talked about, and just setting
episode 10, Sicko Saturday.
Yeah, setting it up setting us up for the next episode. For Eric, my friend, we all are very grateful for you being your knowledge, respect is a given. So I look forward to the next podcast where we get into some more fun things.
Thank you guys for having me. I
Appreciate it, man.
Yeah, thank you.
Episode 4, Straight Outta The Lair, out.